For more on that story, we're joined tonight by Dr Mphumeleli Ngidi, who's with the University of KwaZulu-Natal's Historical Studies Department. A very good evening to you, sir. Good to have your time. So, King Zulu Zwelithini's legal team today telling the High Court in Pretoria that kings are born, not chosen. Is that as cut and dried is in this instance as far as proving that he's the rightful heir?
Good evening to the listeners and the viewers at home. Thanks for welcoming me. Yes, in some sense, it's pronounced like there's the traditional leader, the king, is born but not chosen. But in this instance, we have observed that since the Zulu nation began to be dependent, not independent prior to 1879. We've seen that law comes into the picture. The succession battle has long been there, even prior to the Zulu kingdom being semi-independent. So what we can say is that a leader or a king, it is always said that that particular person is born into that position. So usually the father of that particular person, which will be the reigning king, will have to identify the next king who will ascend into the throne when this particular king departs. Right. So there's a historical precedent in all that. And
just on that point then, on what would have been the actions of the king, we know that at his passing, King Zwelithini in fact handed over the position to the regent, the now late Queen Mantombi, who then, in her last will, basically led to what is now the leadership or the reign of King Zulu Zwelithini. Would there have been less contestation, less noise, if in fact the late King Zwelithini had been the one who named a successor outright in his will?
Naturally, as I've alluded, the position of a king is always contested, regardless of whether the reigning king has identified who's going to take over the reins when they depart. Historical evidence tells us that King Dinuzulu's sons, David and Solomon David was the eldest. They contested for the position, and to that, what happened there is that the Native Affairs Department ended up intervening. And King Solomon was then put to power. The same fate followed King Solomon's sons, which was Prince Sanduyise, who was the eldest, and King, the later king, the one also was chosen as a king was coronated in 1948, which is King Beguzulu. That also went to went to the courts per se, but the Native Administration or the Native Affairs Department ended up appointing a commission to settle the spec. So it's nothing new. Even when there's someone who has been nominated, there are always contestations. In Zulu, we say abantu abayinganganye bengeman. There are always different sides when it comes to the position of the king of the Zulu nation. Even when the Zulu king is in power, there's always a contesting side.
Right.
Yes.
But with this particular battle, between the brothers has been perhaps the most bitter known to people living now, the majority, at least, of the young people who are AmaZulu and the broader South African society, really, that is fascinated by what is going on. I wonder if the nation and the family can survive this and be able to reconcile when the court makes its decision, whatever that will be.
We are hoping so. We are hoping that this too shall pass. For now, let's us wait for the decision of the courts. Whatever the decision will be, there will be there's a strong likelihood that there will be halabalus. There will be still those contestations. They will still be in existence. But we hope that whatever the judgment will provide will, at the end of the day, ensure that both parties go back and sit together. They are the family at the end of the day. They have to reconcile, bury the hatchets, and find the way through. Because this is not all about the Zulu family. This is about the Zulu kingdom, and the Zulu kingdom is made of the Zulus all over South Africa. So what they should do after the judgment, whatever the judgment favors, they should, if they appeal the decision or whatever they do. But at the end of the day, we are existing in a constitutional democracy, which needs one Zulu king who will reign over his people, because there are too many affairs that need to be coordinated in the province and in South Africa. We are hoping for the decision of which the family can still go back, sit on the negotiation table as they've done over the centuries, to come to a conclusion, and we are hoping that this too shall pass.
And last question then to you, Dr. Ngidi. You mentioned the fact that we are living in a constitutional democracy. Such is the situation, in fact, that even the presidency, President Cyril Ramaphosa, has been dragged into this case because government did ultimately recognize Mrs. Zulu KwaZulu-Natal as the rightful heir, right? In that context of this being a constitutional democracy within which the monarch exists, is a court of law, the best place to settle this dispute? Could there have been other, perhaps more traditional avenues to have been explored?
The court is not the best place to solve this issue. The Roman Dutch law should not have been the last measure taken by the Zulu family to solve this matter. They should have negotiated it as a family. We believe that they should go back, sit together, and decide the way forward. Because there's no precedent of this, actually, when the case actually goes to courts. They've been, as I've said, it has gone to the commission or the government intervenes, but it has never gone actually to court to decide. This is a traditional matter of which we understand we are dwelling, or we are existing in a constitutional democracy, that we do have the traditional leadership and government and the Governance Framework Act. But some issues need to be decided within.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Mphumeleli Ngidi from the KwaZulu-Natal University of KwaZulu-Natal's Historical Department, the Historical Studies Department. Let me get it right. Good to speak to you, sir. Thank you for your time.